This is Radar for On the Radar Entertainment Blog, coming to another edition of the Movie Reviews and Observations, number 53. So the first movie that I watched was on Sunday over Passover was Cutthroat City. And I'm saying to myself, Cutthroat City, that sounds interesting, but there was no need for it to be 2 hours plus, like 2 hours, 3 minutes with credits. It was an interesting plot about four friends who are struggling with money after Hurricane Katrina, and they're trying to figure things out. So the main actor, the Shameik Moore, did a good job. And he goes to his wife's cousin T.I. to get work, and that turns out to be bad because then there's cops or fake cops, and things just go south there, and then you're trying to deal with all the things. Wesley Snipes was nice to have a cameo in there as the guy's long lost father, but it was not really did that much. And then Ethan Hawke plays a corrupt politician, and Terrence Howard is a fixer of some sort, and the three biggest name guys are barely in the movie. And it's, okay. And it's an interesting story. He's an artist and he's trying to fend for his wife and his kid and figure things out. But overall, Riza, Arzia, whatever your name is, yeah, it was a good movie, but it was way too long. There was some, very dull moments in the movie. And this Demetrius Shipp Jr., I swear, after watching All American the past couple years and now this movie, it's like Tupac is alive. This guy is could be his long lost child. It makes absolutely no sense that they think that this was a good enough movie for 2 hours. It was interesting enough, but the libraries are wrong. It's not an action movie. It's a drama about four guys trying to figure out what to do after Hurricane Katrina, and they got to turn to crime to make money. That's not an action movie. It was overall good. It's just not the best of the best movies. Then I watched Ben 10 versus the Universe, the movie. And I like this because, for somebody who has watched Ben 10 in years, because he only watched the original version, and they made about 5 or 6 versions, and they continue to come up with this, is that you see the things he can turn into, the aliens, and it's cool to get nostalgic, and then at the same time, you find new characters, and it's interesting. So, pretty much, yeah, it was not a bad movie. And the voice cast, are familiar voice actors from previous shows. So, yeah, it's a nice movie to watch with your kids. Then I watched The Rental, and I'm like, Dave Franco is following in his brother's footsteps of being behind the camera and directing. Let's see how this goes. Well, first step, hires his wife to be the main woman in the movie. Then Dan Stevens from Legion and Beauty and the Beast and what other movies, he's the main guy. And Jeremy Allen White's his brother. And Sheila Vand is his ex-girlfriend who works with him. And they supposedly get this rental place, and they, think that the creepy guy who rented the place to them is the guy, being creepy and watching them, and they're trying to figure things out. And then things unravel when they try to confront the guy, and then they're showing that this is some sort of thing where the guy that's doing all the haunting and killing is done it other times in other places, and he continues to do it. And the only positive thing about this movie is an hour and 27 minutes, so it's not like you're wasting your whole entire life watching a below-average horror film that it wasn't scary, it was more just really creepy. And yes, they try to update it with being in Airbnbs, and they get you with the Dan Stevens and the Alison Brie. It just, not the best movie. Then I watched Made in Italy, and it's the second time during this pandemic era I've watched a Liam Neeson movie where it's a drama. Last one was about his wife having cancer and blah, blah, blah. This one is, he's a widower. Years later, his son and him reconnect, and they're estranged, and they got to go back to the villa that his wife is supposedly from, and she's Italian. But he obviously sounds like he's Scottish-Irish, and his son just sounds regular British, British from the United Kingdom, so it doesn't really even up. But yeah, they try to go reconnect, they got to fix it up, and they there's interesting characters they bump into and meet. And the interesting thing is that Liam Neeson's son is actually Mikael Richardson. That was cool. But for the most part, you're just like, That's the element there. They're reconnecting in their estranged father and son. That's the gimmick of the movie. I like Sam Levinson action movies. I like them in Batman Begins, and he's in Star Wars franchise. I like him in interesting things. So I'll just be a fanboy and watch all of his movies. But that James Franco movie that he was in, where it's about 3 lovers, the one about his wife with the cancer, and that made me cry a bit. This one was not one of his best, and you gotta stick to what you're good at, and like The Honest Thief, which I saw weeks ago. So the only positive thing is it's only 93 minutes with credits, so it's not like you're wasting that much time if you're just not buying the script there. Then, due to time constraints, the following day I watched this Curious George movie, Go West, Go Wild. And you're saying, you're about 28 years old, why are you watching a Curious George movie? Well, I pretty much watch every movie. I watch a lot of kids movies, so then I can tell my friends who have children what movies are age appropriate and what their kids should watch. And I watched Curious George as a kid. I read the book. I've always wanted a Curious George, stuffed animal and like toys and stuff. And it was like him and the man in the yellow hat go visit the yellow man and the man in the yellow hat's cousin's farm. And then of course they get into trouble and the animals break loose and they gotta go save the animals. And there's all different animals and it's pretty cute. It's pretty clever. And the fact that Frank Welker from Scooby Doo and others things he's in the voicing George. It's very cute and clever, and it's an hour and 20 minutes. So again, your kids should definitely watch this. Then broke it up somehow into two parts. Only I could do this. Watching someone on one day and then the rest on the other was called Summerland. So it's about this woman who everybody thinks is like a weirdo because she lives all alone on this island in like United Kingdom or whatever, and she's, they think it's just weird and that stuff that have to do with the war and stuff, and there's kids that need to be watched, and she's given a kid, and of course she doesn't want the kid. She never wanted kids, and then they do their best by saying it's a clue of showing why she doesn't want kids, and then the whole movie, like it is in most movies, the kid grows on her, and they get very close and stuff. But then it's like, wait, his father's in the military, and his mother was working in the ministry, so it's like. They're both alive. I don't know why so they can't watch their own kid, but that's another story. And then they say just because it's an old woman who lives on her own, and this is like in the 1940s, and nobody understands the LGBT community and stuff, that they just have to automatically make it that because she lives on her own and she's a reclusive and she doesn't have any boyfriends or anything else. They wrote it that she's lesbian. And then the other thing is they show flashbacks of it. I'm like, okay, that's cool. Now you explain why she's alone. But then. They make it where, well, the only reason why she adopted that kid is you have to apply for it. It was like, and she never did. And then you find out it's so cliche that it's coincidental type of thing where the woman that she was dating years ago who wanted kids and they wanted to feature together is the woman who's that boy's father. And if that's true, then why does the kid look nothing like her? Now, they don't show the father, but you would think with a woman who's African American and the father who's white, that the kid would look a little bit mixed race, and the kid does not. He looks like a typical British boy, and that happens to be her ex-girlfriend is the boy's mother, and with the father passing away and stuff, they're like, let's just make it where she comes back, and they live all happy ever after together with the way they wanted it years ago, and it's just like, not really, buying all the coincidental things and then forcing things on you. And again, 97 minutes, it felt like it was an hour and 50 minutes. It actually did drag on. It had lots of dull moments and stuff. And the only interesting thing is the kid's friend in the movie. I just saw her in the Secret Garden movie, and she's a pretty good kid actress. Then, for a guy who watches only Dragon Ball franchise for animes, the occasional One Piece, Naruto, and other animes I've seen in the past just briefly, I watched the My Hero Academy Heroes Rising movie. And again, animated kids movie, anime movie, and it's not exactly an hour and 44 minutes. It's a little bit shorter than that. And they say this is like a series finale. That's how they decided when the show ended. The best way to end it is a movie. And not every show gets lucky enough to have a movie that ends it. But I felt like for someone who never watched the show, there were moments about the movie that made me sad, made me cry, because there were some very emotional moments. I really wanted to root for the main character in the movie. And that's where it's like they got you. And it's definitely a movie where I'm thinking of in the future I'm going to go and watch that whole entire franchise because I really like the main character in the movie. And then one of the characters sounds like the guy who's voicing Vegeta. So I'm feeling like with anime and they, dubbing it in English, that they got to get the same actors to do the English. And if it's got, and they taking voice actors I know, then I'm definitely going to watch it. I really enjoyed this for a guy who never watched this TV show. Then due to like time constraints, instead of watching like a long 2-hour movie or a long hour 50-hour movie, when I got time on a day I'm not working, I decided to watch this documentary called Nomad. And it's about this filmmaker, Werner Herzog, who makes a movie about his dear friend Bruce Chatwin, a guy who, is an adventurer and an author, and they interview people and they're showing all the things he does. And I learned some stuff, but it wasn't like the most interesting topic for me, and it's like 80-something minutes, which is what that said. I like to watch documentaries because I learn some stuff, and I'm not watching like a gory action movie or long-winded, boring, or sad drama or science fiction movie or like a funny comedy or cartoon sometimes. You just want to learn about real things, and that's the reason why I watched the things. But overall, it was not bad. This I was shocked how much I liked My Hero Academy. Summerland was just, there's too much going on and coincidental and just forcing the issue. Kids movies, Curious George, Go West, and Ben 10, versus the universe. Those are typical like kids movies that you remember from your childhood and you can watch those characters. It wasn't as bad as the James Franco movie I watched, where it was three lovers and Liam Neeson was one and James Franco was the other, but it's not his best work, Liam Neeson. The Rental, I'm sorry, Dave Franco. Yeah, I know your brother likes to make movies and you want to make movies, but you're a really good actor. Stick to that. And I like Dan Stevens, but it was not that great. Cutler City, outside of a good performance from Meek Moore and Demetrius Shipp Jr. and the rest of the friends in the crew, and the nice cameos from Hawk and Terrence Howard and Wesley Snipes, it was okay. It was just a little bit too long. Thanks for listening to another edition of Movie Reviews and Observations number 53. For On the Radar Entertainment Blog, I'm Radar. See you guys next time.